Hello, my name is Matt Bird, and welcome to the PublishU podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today, I'm joined by Guy Wasko from New York City, who has written a book called Insights to Impact. Hey, Guy, welcome.
Hey, good morning, Matt. It's good to see you, my friend.
And you too. And of course, we know this isn't your first book. For those people who haven't met you before, tell them, what is it you do?
Yeah, so I lead an organization called 4NYC. It's based here in New York City, and our mission is to equip resilient leaders, unite the church, and accelerate mission across the city. So we're just interested in making sure the leaders are healthy, churches are united, and we're able to do more impact for the common good for all New Yorkers across the city as a result.
Amazing. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And you are no stranger to New York City. You're not some guy that's been parachuted in a few years ago. You've lived in Manhattan for quite some time, haven't you?
Yeah, so I moved my family here in 2009. So this, as we sit here with this recording, 16 plus years, we've lived in the East Village, Lower East Side of Manhattan, and raising our kids. We have three daughters; they're amazing. Two are in college now. If you, could send some tutorials on how to pay for that, that'd be great. But no, seriously, they're doing amazing, and then the youngest is in high school now too. So
Wow.
amazing family, 16 years here in the city, in a variety of different endeavors, I guess, but
Yeah.
certainly love this place and call it home.
Yeah, amazing. I love New York City, as you know, Guy. And
Yes.
uh,
Always
just
enjoy our chat sometimes to catch up when you're across the
um,
pond this way.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, for those people who've not visited Manhattan or visited occasionally, what is it you love most about the city?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity here for sure. I think there's incredible culture and diversity. I was just talking with a friend of mine from California last night, and the pace of life, the speed at which things normally move, and the way that people think is very different across the world, isn't it? And especially if you think about Manhattan versus LA. And so one of the things for me that really connects is the pace, it is the culture, it's the speed, and it is the opportunity and diversity. And the human potential, if we think about it, humans are created to create. And so we have lots of people who've created here in New York. I'm one of them, creating new things, whether it's a book or a new opportunity or a new platform. And certainly, people wake up this morning all across the city every day and think, gosh, what good could I do? What new thing needs to be established? What old thing needs to be redeemed or restored or tweaked? So I love all those things. Also,
Yeah.
just the density and the architecture, the history. Yeah,
Mm. Amazing, amazing. So, Guy, you have another book, Insights to Impact. Now, this is your second pocketbook in a
that's right.
series of pocketbooks that you're
Correct.
writing as resources for the 4NYC movement, across New
Correct.
York. So, the first one was called,
It was called 4NYC. Very simple, clear, not
there
clever.
we go, setting out the mandate of what you were trying to do and where you were
Yeah.
going.
Yeah,
And
in
touch,
many ways, that's right.
I mean, give us a recap. What?
Well, for 4NYC, what we're really after in the secret sauce, kind of the peek behind the curtain, if you will, my friend, is if local people in their local communities actually cared enough to get off their couch, stop complaining about the issues in their neighborhood, and actually galvanized around relationship and then went on mission together, we could solve just about any problem. So 4NYC is kind of built on that premise. We take a look at a theory called collective impact, and it basically just argues it's a roadmap, if you will, for how to do that kind of creative, collaborative, and impactful community development. That's
Amazing.
4NYC.
Collective impact. There we
Yes.
go. And
Yep.
so
All
this
in
book,
33 minutes. It's a tiny little pocketbook.
amazing. Read it, guys. And so this book, Insights to Impact, this provides some data behind what's happening. Tell us more.
That's correct. We believe that to be the most impactful, we should be data informed, not data driven. And if we're data driven, that means, in my mind, that we're beholden to whatever the research says. But if we're data informed, then we're at least learning, we're gleaning, we're listening, we're being curious, but it doesn't mean we have to do exactly whatever the research project or the data says, right?
Okay.
So, with that in mind, we endeavored to commission a research project here in New York with our partners called Barna Group. Barna is one of the premier research institutions here in the US, especially as it relates to faith. So, we commissioned a research project with Barna called The State of the City. We released that data. That research was finished this earlier this year, 2025. So we released that to the larger public in an infographic and a couple of different meetings that we've had, gathering a bunch of leaders from across the city to listen and learn. But I just felt like one of the ways that we might be able to get this information to the masses and in a more detailed and also practical way would be to put it in book form. So that's what Insights to Impact is. Taking the best learnings, high level information, deep dive on the data, practical insights for as a leader. What do I do with this information now? Put that in a pocketbook and get that to whoever thinks that it might be interesting to them and helpful.
Fantastic. So give us one of the pieces of data that's not driven you, but that's informed you. And how has it informed you?
That's right.
Make it really concrete for us.
Yeah, so there were a couple of takeaways from this research that were really fascinating. One is that the average unchurched New Yorker, somebody who doesn't particularly subscribe to any kind of faith, has a very positive view of the local church. 71% of non faith people have a positive view of the church here in New York City. That's fantastic. But the same number of people have a bad perception, a bad taste in their mouth as it relates to faith leaders, pastors, as it were. So practically speaking, one of the things that we argue is like, well, if that's the case, then how do we elevate, how do we increase the perception, the trust of pastors and local faith communities? Well, one of the ways we can do that is by serving the poor, is by helping the needs of the local community, is by getting outside of the four walls of a particular local church and walking the block and meeting your neighbors and doing the basic things that we think we should be doing as just good neighbors and good people. So that's one practical example. Here's another one. One of the staggering and sobering realities of this study showed that Gen Z and younger generations in particular are plagued with anxiety and depression. Almost two-thirds of all New York Gen Zers wake up every day and have to wrestle with anxiety and depression. Two-thirds, Matt. That's a lot. That's millions of young people, young adults, just getting started with life, just graduating from university, maybe still in high school, who are paralyzed by anxiety and depression, mental health issues. So for us, what we would say is then, and what we do in the book is, well, in what ways can you create practical help and resources? What can you do to destigmatize mental health so that these Gen Zers or anybody struggling with mental health disorders can get the help and the resources they need?
Yeah. I mean, it's staggering, isn't it? I mean, two-thirds
Yeah.
living with anxiety, severe anxiety. And what are the things that they're anxious about? Did the research give you any insight into that?
Yeah, there's some helpful little trails that we can sort of pick on and wander down, and they're not surprising. They're human issues in many ways, but they're still specific, and so we should give them appropriate weight. But a lot of it has to do around stress, vocation. Many Gen Zers report being satisfied with their work but underpaid. So the cost of living in a place like New York City is obviously a massive burden that has to be solved for. And then relationships, massive loneliness epidemic here as well. So you're surrounded by 8.6 million people in the city. You're crammed in on the subway. There's people all around, and yet they're lonely. There's no real deep, authentic connection and
Mm.
community.
Mm.
And so that's a major source of anxiety as well. So then again, what I say in the book, what we're arguing for is, if people are lonely, what are we doing as local faith communities across the city to actually create authentic community? It can't be just show up to another religious service. That's fine for some people, but where are we actually creating spaces, connective tissue for
Yeah,
individuals to be able to actually be in relationship with each other?
amazing.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me, Guy, and although this research has been based upon, the reality in New York City, actually, then there's not only insights to inform the mission of the church in New York City, but perhaps further afield. Would you say that?
Yeah, I think so, Matt. I think in two ways. One, there's probably, while this data set is specific to New York City, I do think in particular these are uniquely human challenges and realities. And so
Yeah.
while the numbers might be uniquely different wherever you might be listening from or where you live, the truth remains that we're made as human beings, we're made for relationship. And
Yeah.
so what ways are we called to cultivate actual relationship, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about lots of opportunities too for this data to apply, not just regardless of where you live, but also regardless of your faith. And so this was a study particularly looking at well-being, human flourishing, and faith in New York City. But I think if anybody were to get a hold of this research project, there's probably something in there that's going to be useful and relevant for them, regardless of their faith tradition.
And particularly if they're in a city somewhere else in the world, there's
Correct.
probably some urban similarities there, although it is, as you say, absolutely unique to New York. Uh,
Correct.
yeah, um, really cool.
Well, what I
And
would think too, I was just going to say, Matt, like I think while this is a particularly New York City focused resource and research project, I guess if somebody were not in New York City and wanted to see a model of how to do this, what it looked like, or how to take data and make it more practical, and certainly be inspired to double click on research in their own context, this could be useful for them.
yeah, absolutely. And so, what would you hope, Guy, is the impact of hundreds and thousands of people across New York City getting a hold of these insights? Yeah, they're not going to read the academic report, but they are
Correct.
going to read it in a pocketbook, take them half an hour, and one Sunday afternoon, Saturday morning, one evening, one commute into the city one day, they're going to read it. What are you going to hope it's going to? What do you hope the impact is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been talking about it already, haven't we? It's in the title as well that we would move from data to actually action,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That everybody who reads this book would be inspired by at least one piece of data in their local context, and they would go on a journey, an expedition, an adventure, if you will, to try to figure out a way to solve for one of the data pieces in their own local context. That they'd
yeah,
find a partner, a neighbor, a friend, a family member, and say, you know what? I can't launch a big brand new initiative, across the city, but maybe what I can do is love my neighbor a little bit better, is serve my boss a little bit better, is reach out to my PTA at my kids school and find out if they need something, because you know what, these kids are filled with stress and anxiety, and sometimes life in the city is hard.
yeah, yeah.
So it's in the title, my friend. It's baked
Yeah,
in, insight to
yeah,
impact, that we'd get to
absolutely.
work and the city would be better for it.
From couch to community, from Netflix to neighborhood. That's what we
Yes,
want.
that's right, exactly, from couch to community. That's good. Can I take that?
Yeah, 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 yeah. There's no fee for that idea. For a friend.
That's great.
And Guy, now listen, you've been working in community for decades, but in the last year you've turned out two books. What's
That's
happened?
correct.
Why have you
Yeah.
suddenly decided, or has this been writing spirit come across upon you and you just can't help yourself?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Well, it's a little bit of that. I mean, mostly, Matt, as you and I have talked, I think we always need some kind of outside help, some track, some motivation or process or roadmap. And I think all humans are like that. Very few people are like so purely self-motivated and can just think of something and then just often go do it. And we have incredible resources these days with technology and all that. But honestly, with the inspiration of these resources in my own heart and mind, with the work that we're doing with 4NYC, which is new, and then also with your help with PublishU and the roadmap that you provide, it's not easy, but it's possible. I, I would never say writing is easy. It's easier for some than others, right?
Yeah.
It's a labor of love. It requires work and intention. But certainly the roadmap that you've created with PublishU is wildly helpful and practical. You can follow it, and so now that I've gone through the course, written one book, I've got the roadmap, and it becomes easier, right? Every time you do it, it gets a little bit easier.
Absolutely. So this is number two. Have you got a number three in mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow. How many
Yeah,
how many have you got in mind, Guy?
well, I mean, I think I've got about four more like that are defined, and I think we can probably build from there as well and keep adding. But my ideas would be, again, with this pocketbook series, would be to create a catalog or a library, if you will, for 4NYC that various leaders could come in and find ways to, find the resource off of our library, off of our shelf that they're looking for that's particularly practical or applicable for them in their lives right now. So the next one is probably going to be on what we call the four greats. Jesus teaches throughout the Gospels about these things that are highly important, and I think the four greats are Great Commission, the Great Collaboration, the Great Cooperation, and there's Great Commission, Great
Great
Commandment,
command.
the Great Commandment. Yes. So obviously, I've got a little bit of work to do on making sure I remember the four greats.
The four between us,
If
teamwork.
only somebody, yes, if only somebody would write the book, then it would be a lot clearer for me.
It would, yeah. And maybe it will be called Couch to Community. Who knows?
That's right. So anyway, I mean, just as we're talking here, my friend, like I think that's a resource that could be inspirational and fun for some people, and it's also a model, isn't it? It's a bit of a pathway itself
Oh,
that
yeah.
Jesus lays out for those of us who are followers of Jesus, who are people of faith, and so yeah, I think that would be a fun resource to go after here in the
Fantastic.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can hear a few sermon series on that little series.
Yes.
This month we're
Yeah.
going to do the 40. Do you know what I mean? I can see it being
Yeah.
picked up.
Yeah.
That's certainly
Small
going to
group
help
guide, the
pastors
whole
out.
thing. Yeah.
There we go. So, well, thank you, Guy, and thank you all for listening to the PublishU podcast featuring the real life stories of authors from around the world. If you are interested in becoming an author like Guy, please check out our website, www.publishu, the letter U, publishu.com. We would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, make sure you subscribe for more. Thank you so much for joining us, and goodbye for now.